Good evening to you all, and thank you for joining us here on Rwanda Television News tonight. Our hope is that you had yourselves a productive Tuesday. Now here's a sneak peek at our edition tonight. President Paul Kagame has attended the Continental Forum on Education and Youth Employability organized by the African Union in partnership with UNICEF in Nouakchott, Mauritania. Rwanda is set to make history as the first African country to host the General Assembly of the International Automobile Federation. On the international scale, New York prosecutors filed a murder charge against Luigi Maglione, the suspect in the killing of the United Health executive last week. We are very pleased to have your company tonight, coming to you straight from the heart of Africa, Kigali. My name is Martina Abera. Let us start off the edition by informing you that President Paul Kagame has attended the Continental Forum on Education and Youth Employability organized by the African Union in partnership with UNICEF in Nouakchott, Mauritania. President Paul Kagame emphasized that the youth represent the hope of Africa and the world at large.
In just a decade from now, young Africans will represent the biggest share of the global population entering the workforce. We cannot let this opportunity go to waste. This generation has the potential of becoming a powerful engine for growth and prosperity, not just for Africa, but for the rest of the world. What we need to do is equip these young people with the skills and expertise to meet the demands of the labor market.
The summit was also attended by other leaders, including President Mohamed Ould Ghazouani of Mauritania, who is also the chairperson of the AU, and the President of Senegal, Bassirou Diomaye Faye, among others. The gathering brought together African leaders to engage in discussions aimed at driving impactful changes and strengthening advocacy for promoting quality education in line with this year's AU theme focused on advancing education across the continent. Prime Minister Dr. Edouard Ngirente urged judges of the Military High Court to abide with principles of honesty, discipline, and to not detach from the trust given to them by the court. We have more of the story brought to you by us.
These were said as on Tuesday, Prime Minister Dr. Edouard Ngirente presided over the swearing-in ceremony of the Military High Court President, Brigadier General Patrick Karuretwa, Vice President Lieutenant Colonel Charles Sumanyi, Lieutenant Colonel Gerard Muhigirwa, Vice President of the Military Court, Lieutenant Mukasa Kindi Therese, a judge at the Military High Court, Captain Moses Ndoba, a judge in the Military Court, and Lieutenant Victor Kamanda, a judge in the Military Court. They vowed to honor their responsibilities.
The justice in the society of Rwanda is obviously a very important aspect of our life as a society, but I was also emphasizing that in the context of the military, justice and discipline in particular weigh even heavier than in the standard society because of the particular nature of the mission, the responsibilities of the Rwanda's military, Rwanda Defense Force, because of the kind of means and training the soldiers, the members of RDF have. So all these aspects make it indispensable to put an even bigger emphasis on justice and discipline in the context of the military. So as the new president of the Military High Courts, my guidance, my instructions, but also my personal intention is to put a very significant emphasis on discipline and justice in the context of the military, so that the members, the personnel of the Rwanda Defense Force are not tempted to misuse the powers they have, the mission they have, in a way that would be detrimental to the society of Rwanda.
In his speech, Prime Minister Dr. Edward Ngirente urged judges of the Military High Court to abide with principles of honesty, discipline, and to not detach from the trust given to them by the country. The nature of your work towards law abidance and respect of human rights, it requires carefulness, courage, and professionalism. But the head of state who trusted you with this responsibility knew that you are able, and we ask you to not detach from this trust. And as you saw, the power bestowed in you is not to be used for personal benefits, rather the country in general. Strive to make proud the Rwanda Defense Force. We trust you to honor the sovereignty of our country. The Prime Minister also urged new military officials to use technology in their daily activities as it fastens their work. We urge you to use technology more often as it fastens the work and coordinate well court cases. We urge you also to train more to modernize your work. The Rwanda Defense Force military justice system is composed of the Military High Court, the Military Tribunal, and the Military Prosecution Department.
Rwanda is set to make history as the first African country to host the General Assembly of the International Automobile Federation. Stakeholders in the motorsport industry see this as a significant opportunity to gain global insights from experts and further enhance Rwanda's international visibility. The assembly will take place on Friday. FIA President Mohamed Ben Sulayem has expressed confidence that attendees will learn a lot from Rwanda. This event comes shortly after Rwanda hosted FIFA's 73rd Congress last year, highlighting the country's growing reputation as a global hub for high-level events. The FIA comprises 243 member organizations from 147 countries worldwide, including the Rwanda Automobile Club, and its president, Christian Gakwaya, has noted that hosting the FIA General Assembly will provide valuable lessons to further develop and expand motorsport in the country. The FIA originated in 1904 as the Association Internationale des Automobiles Clubs, based in Paris, France, with a mission to protect the rights of motorsport participants. After World War II, the organization was renamed the International Federation of Automobile, or the FIA, as it is now commonly referred to. Among FIA's major international competitions are the World Championship for Sports Cars, European Rally Championship, and European Touring Car Challenge. A new study on the skills and knowledge of financial sector workers in Rwanda reveals that about 40% of them lack sufficient expertise, while 60.7% are rated favorably by their employers. The study, conducted by the Kigali International Financial Center, was published on Tuesday. Among the financial institutions surveyed, 39.3% of employers believe their employees lack adequate skills, whereas 60.7% express satisfaction with their staff's knowledge levels. Dr. Kato Kimbugwe, who led the research team, explained that the gap in skills among financial sector workers is rooted in the education system that prepares them before they enter the workforce.
The recommendations we've provided, especially on skills development, has been to think about what Kenya and Mauritius have done, which is they set up a levy, a training levy, and a skills development fund. So then people in the industry paid into that fund so that they can train everybody, so that you don't have one institution training and then people poaching from that institution. People in the industry paid into that fund so that they can train everybody, so that you don't have one institution training and then people poaching from that institution, but all of them benefiting from investment in their people, investment in building that training and the capacity.
Anita Mutesi, a capacity building officer at KIFC, emphasized the need for targeted initiatives to enhance the competencies of those working in the financial sector.
But the key thing that we do is to make sure we have the right skills in place. How are our professionals doing when it comes to skills? Are they what a financial center needs to have? If we don't have, so the survey is really showing us where's the gap. Who do we have today? What do we need to have in the future? And where's the gap? So finding the gap is really helping us to now have targeted approach towards having professionals who have the skill set that we're looking for to serve the center, really. And now the results that have come out of the report show that Rwanda I think employs up to 38,000 almost professionals, close to 36, between 37 and 38,000 professionals. And of those, only 2% are certified. And a certified professional is what sells within a financial hub. And if we're attracting investors to come in, will the 2% serve? No. So how do we work towards now increasing that and having a pool of professionals who are ready to serve the financial center? So this report is really showing us, we have a big challenge. We're pushing for a financial center, but our professionals are not up to date. Like they don't have the skills we're looking for. So how do we work towards creating a pool of professionals who can serve the financial center?
Researchers warn that insufficient expertise in the financial sector poses a significant challenge to Rwanda's ambition of transforming Kigali into Africa's financial services hub. KIFC's strategic goal is to ensure that by 2027, the value of Rwanda's domestic financial sector reaches 500 billion Rwandan francs, creating over 49,000 jobs. Additionally, by 2025, the international financial sector is expected to be valued at $600 million, providing specialized employment for over 1,860 people. Various African countries have joined forces to promote the trade and quality of leather products, an initiative that follows the Rwandan government's pledge to support those engaged in leather production to advance their activities. Enora Gladys with more.
The forum reinforced a sense of optimism with delegates pointing to tangible signs of progress, such as infrastructure developments. Several African leather producers highlight that they have reached an encouraging level of progress, although they still face challenges such as limited finance to be used in this sector.
This forum is quite beneficial to me and my company and my country because it gives me a bit of exposure to learn from others as well as to what they are doing. And of course, as a grouping, we are going to share a lot of things according to the challenges and the opportunities that we face in different countries in Africa, because it's all about Africa leather.
We think that Africa can supply the world, and we have human capital, and we also have the resource in the leather itself. And when we say we are using sustainable methods, it's also in anything else that the earth produces or that humans use that we then incorporate into the product. I see various reasons. One, we are creating jobs. So there's a very high number of youth that's unemployed. It doesn't really make sense to have a resource, underutilize it, and it's two things being underutilized. Human resources being underutilized, and then we have the leather, the natural resource that's being underutilized. And then we have waste, things that harm the earth that can be utilized. So we look at it that way. We're also looking at creation of wealth through the value chain. So the more we use the leather and we sell, the more the value chain is also increasing with the different players who are supplying as well. And they're also employing more people, so we see that. We're also looking at legacy. More businesses in Africa that go generation to generation to generation to generation. And we're really hopeful that that can be built right here at home. We really want to see leather become something that's a significant contributor to the economies in Africa across the continent.
In his opening remarks, the Executive Director of Africa Leather and Leather Products Institute, Mr. Nicholas Mudungwe, emphasized the need for collective efforts to drive the sector forward.
To look at critical issues that are affecting the industry The first one is sustainability. We all know about climate change. And we are saying for Africa to be successful, we need a green industry, an industry that is clean, that doesn't contaminate the environment, that doesn't cause harm to our environment. So that's the first theme. The importance of this forum is that it brings a diverse people, those involved in production, policymakers, financiers, academic and development partners. And we think working together we'll be able to come up with solutions that can improve the performance of this sector. We know governments, they are the biggest consumer in any country in terms of military, in terms of police, and the various other departments that consume leather products. So we are saying if we start to consume our own products as governments, we'll create employment and we'll also build confidence of the public to trust shoes made in Africa.
Africa's leather market currently contributes less than 5% of the $420 billion global industry, highlighting the untapped potential within the continent. By 2028, the global leather market is projected to grow to $700 billion, and Africa must achieve an ambitious 72% annual growth rate to increase its market share to over $100 billion. These Africa leather producers pointed out that while the continent is rich in resources, the lack of transformation into values remains a significant challenge. Enora Gladys, RwandaTV News.
Thank you, Enora, for that report. The United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, has reaffirmed its commitment to strengthening its partnership with Rwanda, particularly in advancing transformative initiatives. This includes supporting the implementation of Rwanda's National Strategy for Transformation, NST2.
3 months since the government of Rwanda launched the National Strategy for Transformation, NST2, a blueprint for the country's socio-economic development over the 5 years. NST2 builds upon the successes of the NST1, prioritizing inclusive development, sustainability, and the principle of gender equality.
We have been able to, to put in place innovative approaches to promote gender equality in the private sector through the program called Gender Equality Seal Certification Program, where with the UNDP, we designed, approaches to deal with the private sector because, the private sector is the engine of the economy of our country. So the GS, Gender Equality Seal Certification Program, helped to promote the gender-friendly working environment in the private sector, but also in the public sector.
The government of Rwanda's partnership with the international organizations has been a pivot factor in accelerating the implementation of its development programs. Fatmata Sesei, the resident representative of the UNDP Rwanda, emphasized that these collaborations have yielded significant achievements.
On each, for our work on climate change and environment, the Green Amayaga project, where we did ecosystem restoration in areas that were already considered to be barren, and we've restored those forests, I think is really remarkable. We've also done home biogas, as well as hydroponics in Rwamagana and Gatsibo, where 300 households are now using home biogas as clean cooking fuel, and we really look forward to scaling that up in the next CPD. It's one example.
The Secretary General of the Rwanda Governance Board, RGB, Kadisa Edward, acknowledged the progress made through the collaboration between the government and international organizations, but emphasized the need for the further improvements.
I think we need to strengthen the way we are working together, especially with other partners, not UNDP, but other partners that are involved, like civil society, like the media that I mentioned. So we need to strengthen that area. We need to enhance coordination and the way we conduct capacity building. We need to improve on how the capacities that we build are tailored to the needs of these institutions. That's what we are focusing on more. And we believe that looking at the lessons we have already learned, we will do better than we have done in the past few years.
In its partnership with the government of Rwanda, the UNDP, in enhancing service delivery across public and private sectors, a notable initiative under this collaboration is integration of technology in the judiciary sector through a system known as e-courts. Adams Kwizera, RwandaTV News.
Agricultural experts assert that contour farming is the most sustainable land management practice, constructing with conventional plowing as it increases yields and promotes climate resilience. Key practices such as using improved seeds, applying fertilizers, and irrigation are vital for entrepreneurs involved in maize and coffee farming to adapt to climate change effectively. In Africa, approximately 40% of agricultural produce is lost before reaching markets, contributing to 10% of global annual greenhouse gas emissions. Oswald Shirambere, senior agronomist at the Rwanda Agriculture and Animal Resource Development Board, stated that over 11,000 farmers have been trained in sustainable farming techniques aimed at conserving soil and maximizing productivity. In the second quarter of 2024, Rwanda's agricultural sector grew by 7%, contributing 25% to the country's gross domestic product.
This project is important for farmers for many reasons. First of all, it will enable farmers to get value for their produce. It will save the losses which at the moment for onions and chili, particularly for chili, where the wastage or the losses are estimated between 8 and 10%. So that means the loss will be reduced, and that translates into additional income by the farmers. Secondly, to allow them to sell whenever they want to sell. They will not be forced to sell at a cheap price simply because they cannot keep the produce for a long time. Then, of course, on a larger scale for the country, and even for the farmers, because at the end of the day they are the beneficiaries, they will be able to export a product with a competitive price because of the quality control, because the standards will be high, and you know the international market usually doesn't demand only the quantity, but also demands the quality of what you're exporting. Yes, the technology is not very complex, but maybe the complex part of it is that it's control. It's good controls, which we call the critical control points, where the temperature, the timing are regulated, where they're using heat, convection current of heat from hot water. So they are using heat from heated air to bring the product which is being heated to a certain moisture content. This is totally different from how we've been doing it using conventional means, whereby drying in the sun, you cannot be sure, you cannot tell how much moisture content is there. And the moisture content is a fact of infection control or contamination control. So we should be able to prevent that infection control or contamination because we are able to standardize the produce that has been heated from batch to batch. So each batch should be standardized, and therefore that really brings in assurance that the product is safe from batch 1 to batch X.
Rwanda is set to build 5 facilities equipped with modern machinery and technology to help chili pepper and onion farmers reduce post-harvest losses and add value to their produce. This 10 billion Rwandan francs project will establish these facilities in Rulindo, Nyagatare, Bugesera, Rubavu, and Kigali. The centers will feature advanced drying and processing technologies, with each facility capable of handling and processing up to 50 tons of produce daily. Farmers in the chili and onion sectors have noted significant post-harvest losses while waiting for favorable sun-drying conditions. This initiative is supported by Korea through the Korea International Cooperation Agency. Kim Jin-hwa, Koika, Rwanda's country director, highlighted that these facilities will enhance Rwanda's agricultural exports.
Rwanda's the Vision 2050, and then even NST1 and PSTA, the 4, is going to the target not only just the food security but also commercial-based agriculture is quite important. So KOICA wants to bring the transform the export-based agriculture.
All roads lead to the land of 1,000 hills. Kigali hosts FIA Awards 2024. Best performers in the Global Motorsport Championship will be celebrated at the magnificent BK Arena on December 13th, 2024. You won't miss a minute of this historic event. The Rwanda Broadcasting Agency will be there live. Promote your business through our live coverage of the FIA Awards 2024. Reach out to RBA and we'll assist you in no time.
Welcome back. Before we head on over to the international scene, let us inform you that agricultural experts assert that contour farming is the most sustainable land management practice, contrasting with conventional plowing as it increases yields and promotes climate resilience. Key practices such as using improved seeds, applying fertilizers, and irrigation are vital for entrepreneurs involved in maize and coffee farming to adapt to climate change effectively. In Africa, approximately 40% of agricultural produce is lost before reaching markets, contributing to 10% of global annual greenhouse gas emissions. Oswald Shirambere, senior agronomist at the Rwanda Agriculture and Animal Resources Development Board, stated that over 11,000 farmers have been trained in sustainable farming techniques aimed at conserving soil and maximizing productivity.
Today, we have different demo plots across the country. For instance, at least at each sector, in the last years, we have a demo plot. And today, we have trained more than 14,000 farmers that are now trained as well as agronomists at sector level that can just now be they can be like an example for other people, and then people may learn from them. So we have been assisting those farmers with those demo plots, and we noticed that it's giving very good results. So we call upon all farmers just to use that technology of minimum soil disturbance, what we call conservation agriculture.
In the second quarter of 2024, Rwanda's agriculture sector grew by 7%, contributing 25% to the country's gross domestic product. Some of the stories that are making headlines on the international scene. New York prosecutors filed a murder charge against Luigi Maggione, the suspect in the killing of a United Health executive last week. Maggione was captured in Altoona, Pennsylvania, after he was spotted eating at a McDonald's by a customer and an employee who believed he resembled the gunman. This and other stories from the American continent and beyond, courtesy of VOA in the following quick roundup.
To reestablish its capabilities, to create safe havens. As our precision strikes over the weekend demonstrate, we are determined not to let that happen.
There are intensive efforts underway by the United States to find Austin Tice and bring him home to his family. Our special envoy for hostage affairs, Roger Karstens, is in Beirut.
And that VOA story marks the end of our bulletin. Before we close off, let's have a quick recap of our headlines. President Paul Kagame has attended the Continental Forum on Education and Youth Employability, organized by the African Union in partnership with UNICEF in Nouakchott, Mauritania. Rwanda is set to make history as the first African country to host the General Assembly of the International Automobile Federation. On the international scale, New York prosecutors filed a murder charge against Luigi Maglione, the suspect in the killing of a United Health executive last week. And on that note, we come to the conclusion of our bulletin. On behalf of the news production team as well as the technical team, would like to thank you for sticking with us on RTV News. I who brought to you the news is Martina Abera. Stay safe and have a great night.